Okay, today is March 20th of 2022, and I thought I should probably show you what I've been doing. Oh, I did put some more steps in here too. Since I now have the bulkheads going fore and aft of the engine room, I need to be able to get up here. And you can see the bulkheads there are pretty much done. The bulkheads here are pretty much done, and I doubled these up. Even this one here probably wouldn't need to be that heavy, but it's an inch. It's 2 half-inch layers of plywood. And of course I need to put some framing in around there, around the doors and stuff too yet, but that will come. And then here is the bulkhead going into the salon. You can see it's the same thing, 2 layers, a half-inch. And here's what I kind of wanted to show you. Before I get too far along here, you can see I'm starting to put a second layer of insulation up on these walls, these bulkheads. This stuff is half-inch carpet underlayment padding, and it's got kind of a fiberglass. No, not kind of, it is a fiberglass layer. I decided to put that in the outside and put just the rubber surface on the inside. Don't know if it makes any difference, but well. And then here's the 2-inch stuff that's going on next. This stuff is fiberglass, foil and fiberglass liner. You can see this is 2 inches thick. They're 2 foot by 4 foot panels, and I'm not quite sure how to go about doing these. I'm just gonna start out, I think, filling things up as much as I can with full pieces, and then I'll have to start cutting pieces, you know, for over there in the corners and up the sides. But that's fine. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. I think I'll get myself a big razor knife, long razor knife, and try to cut it with that. We'll see. If not, I could use like a bread knife or something to cut this stuff too, I think. But anyway, these panels aren't hard fiberglass panels, nor are they really soft and flimsy. They're kind of something in between. I mean, there's give to them, and you could probably use them as a mattress, lay on them, and they wouldn't be too bad. But I expect them to be a little firmer, stiffer than what they are, but it really doesn't matter. And these are really acoustic panels as much as anything. Of course, they'll give me not only sound insulation, but some thermal insulation, as well as some fire insulation. And yeah, I'm attaching them with these big plastic washers and 3-inch stainless steel screws. That gives me a half an inch, because there's 2 inches here and a half inch of this. That's 2.5. It gives me a half inch, and then I compress them in just a little bit. So that means I'm probably moving into the wall between 5/8 and 3/4 of an inch, which is fine because I got 1 inch of plywood back there, so I don't have to worry about running through. This is the most secure method I could come up with for doing this. I don't know how else you'd go about doing it. I thought about putting bolts through there once I had the first layer of plywood on that side, running bolts through, but that was going to be a lot of fuss. So I think this is going to work well. Most of this bulkhead here, at least on the inside here, is going to be covered with another layer of plywood. And the reason for that is so I can mount things on here. I think I'll probably put the fuel filters and stuff back here. And I would like to have a little bit of a work area somewhere, and I'm hoping maybe I can get a little bit of a workbench in here, because I've got several feet between the engine and that bulkhead. Actually, I got a couple feet up here too, but I'll probably put the water system up here, because that's closer where the water is. Put the pumps and manifolds, valves for the water system. Probably the water maker will go here. Excuse me, can have a pickup through hole down there. But anyway, so what I need to do is I'm going to need to get a layer of plywood over at least some of this to mount things on. And I think I'll just probably run a couple of 2x across the length here, and then maybe put a couple of supports in the middle to keep it from flopping around too much. But this will be just about flush covered with plywood, most of this wall anyway. And again, I need to get the North Sea exhaust system is what I'm planning on putting in, and that needs to, you know, be mounted just above the that support for the tank over there to get it above the water line, somewhere in the upper half of that gusset there in the corner. So there will be a T right in here, and then the exhaust will go out either side. So I need to leave room for that. And unfortunately, there really isn't going to be room unless you've got a really small, skinny kid to squeeze in there to work on those fittings. So I'm going to have to put some access doors on either end here. So I'm going to have to make sure and accommodate that when I'm building on the interior and the aft cabin there. I need to make sure I leave some space for access panels there. Otherwise, I just stapled this stuff in, kind of cut it just a little bit oversized, and then I trimmed it to the edges as, you know, with it kind of flattened over a little bit, or rolled over in the corner a little bit, and then just trimmed it. Yeah, there's Pee-wee. I wanted to glue this foam in initially, and I bought some spray glue. It wasn't going to work. It was too hard to get with these fuel tanks here. It was just too hard to work around these fuel tanks to get the stuff in there square and laid properly, and it was never going to happen. In fact, this wasn't so bad back here, but up forward here, there's even tighter, less room here. I couldn't even get my stapler in everywhere here. You can see this area right here, I couldn't even get staples in. But yeah, it's not much fun to work in. These need a little trimming in, it looks like. I didn't trim those out yet. But anyway, that's where we're going now. And I wanted to get this done now, because once I start planking, I'm not going to have access from the outside of the boat to reach through there. And that's, you know, about half of what I'm doing here. I'm having to reach through from the outside to get at this. So I wanted to get that done. I know it seems really premature to be worrying about this sort of thing, but it's going to be a lot easier to do it now than it is later. Isn't that right, Pee-wee? Don't you agree? It's going to be easier now? Yeah? You're a noisy cat, you know that, don't you? Yeah, noisy cat. But anyway, that's what I'm doing now, and I would just starting to put some of these fiberglass panels in. Just get a couple of them and kind of see how it goes, and I don't know. It's not too critical. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but you want to get them as tight as possible for sound and heat and what have you. Yeah, sound. There's a lot of sound coming out of you. You're a very noisy cat. Did you know that? You're really, really noisy. Yeah. Alright, there hasn't been a whole lot else going on. Unfortunately, this is about all I've been up to here lately. I've been getting one or two pieces of this wood up. And what I did was I clamped them around the periphery. That's a yeah. It's a double, a twofer there. And then I ran screws with fender washers on them to pull them together for the glue to set. And I used construction adhesive again here. Loctite PL375 is what I used, which I've used that in a lot of places in years past, and it's, you know, if I've ever had to pull a joint apart, it's about like epoxy. It tears wood before the glue joint breaks. So that's good. Yeah, so it was kind of slow going here because I really would use all my clamps on one piece of wood, and then I'd let it set for 24 hours before I'd put the next piece on. And I think it's going to result in some pretty decent solid bulkheads here. I am going to put screws through here yet. I haven't quite decided what screws I'm going to use around the edges yet, but I will put screws in around the edges. I don't know if I'll use my galvanized, like the screws I'm going to use for the siding, or if I just use some construction screws or some stainless screws. I don't know. I haven't entirely decided on that yet, but at some point that'll happen too. Not that it needs it. I don't think it would need it. I'm pretty sure the glue is going to be adequate. So there's my update for first day of spring 2022.